Hey YouTube, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today I'm going to be locking up my new building, but I wanted to walk you through the process that I go through personally in terms of hiring a general contractor. So the first thing that I do, since I've worked with a number of general contractors, for this building in particular, I was ready to hire someone new and have a new experience and see if my previous experience could be improved upon, because I haven't been super happy with some of the GCs that I've been working with. So the first thing that I did was I went on Nextdoor and I posted asking for any suggestions or recommendations from neighbors or people that live around the building or in the area if they've had any good experiences with GCs. So I got about 30 comments on that post, some of them saying absolutely stay away from certain people, which is equally as helpful. And then basically the other about 25 recommendations, I went through and I vetted each one. So I went through and I checked reviews, I checked out their website, I looked on the Better Business Bureau. I just tried to basically scour the internet for any information that I could find about these GCs, good or bad. So checking Google reviews or Facebook reviews or any other platform where you can leave somebody a review. So essentially just vetting them, because reviews are a great way to know if you're kind of working with a scumbag contractor or if people are happy with their work and they offer like good craftsmanship, right? So essentially I'm looking for someone who is reliable. Obviously, that's probably one of the hardest things to find in the real estate business. People who are as driven as I am. Usually people aren't paying the bill, they don't care as much as you do. So I'm very detail oriented. I want someone who I can contact easily, who is very communicative, who sets realistic expectations, and then who's gonna do good work and not steal my money and can basically stay on budget and on schedule. Because in real estate, time is money. I need to get these units renovated and back on the market because I'm spending money and burning through money every moment that these units sit vacant. Okay, so then once I check reviews on everybody, then I essentially meet them in person. I decide who I want to come and bid on the project. So usually I choose anywhere between 3 and 5 people to come and bid on my project because I don't need 25 or 26 different bids, right? That's way too much of my time. So I had 5 different people come and bid on this job. 2 of them came, one actually came multiple times. Actually, hold on. One came immediately. He was the one who did the siding for this building. So that was great. He got us a bid immediately. Another one came, he was on time, but he never got me a bid. I even texted him twice as a reminder, no bid to be seen. And then another one came, actually he was supposed to come around 1 o'clock one day. I called him at like 1:10 saying, hey, where are you? And he called me immediately and said, oh my God, I totally forgot. I mean, human error. So I gave him the benefit of the doubt. He then said he would be here in about 30 minutes to an hour. So I waited for him and then he called me and said, I can't find the address of the building. Where are you? Blah, 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 blah. And so I had texted him the address. He literally had it in text. All he had to do was click on it and open it in Google Maps. And he apparently typed in the wrong address. So he was in a completely different town about 10 minutes away that happened to have the same address. So again, I kind of gave him the benefit of the doubt. I just wanted to see what his bid was gonna come in at. He ended up coming. I waited additional time for him. I walked him around the unit. I then left him a lockbox and a key so that he could come back another day and get all of his measurements so that he could get me a more accurate bid. And again, I still have yet to hear from him. I followed up twice. He has confirmed that he's working on a bid and I still don't have anything. So I can't wait forever for these people. So again, time is money in the real estate world. And then 2 other bids came back extraordinarily high, much higher than that 200,000 per unit that I wanted to be all in at. So I ended up just going with the same contractor that did the siding on the building. So that's great. So then the next thing that I do once I receive all of the bids from these contractors is I check references. So I always ask for references, just like I do for tenants. I always call and talk to previous landlords. So in the real estate world, again, it's all kind of just about covering your butt. And luckily people learn from experience. And so other people's experiences are extremely helpful to me. So I always call and check references. before I sign a contract or make anything official with any of these contractors. And when you're on these phone calls with these people checking references, ask questions like, did they stay on budget? Did they stay on schedule? How much did they communicate with you? Did they offer solutions when there were issues? And just kind of overall experiences. Would they recommend this contractor to somebody else in their same position? Okay, and then once you have checked all the references and you are happy and you have decided that you want to hire these people, always make sure that you get a signed contract in place. So this is essentially going to legally protect you in case anything goes awry, which it definitely has in my case. I actually once had somebody take about $25,000 from me. We hired them. The job was about 50 grand. Material cost, which is typically due up front, was about 25 grand. And the contractor essentially just took our paycheck, delivered like very minimal materials and did like some easy framing and then headed out, right? He just took our money and left. Then come to find out, he actually did that same thing. Even though he was reputable, I had a contract in place with him, I had called references, I had checked his Google reviews, yada, 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 all the things, right? He had done this to like 5 or 6 other people, and even to people who were elderly and who were like terminally ill. He had taken their money and just left to the tune of, I think, somewhere about $350,000. He had just wiped these people out. So we all ended up taking him to court. I actually ended up winning about 5 different cases against him and garnishing or attempting to garnish his wages. However, he ended up getting sick. He actually ended up needing a kidney transplant. And so that's my guess, is that he used that 350 grand to pay for his medical bills and a kidney transplant. And so we were suing him personally, we were suing his business, but he basically had cleaned out his bank accounts, and so there wasn't any money to retrieve. And so at that point, you're kind of just SOL. So we're kind of waiting for him to start working again. You know, we can see what he's doing online and on Facebook because he's posting all the time, so we know what he's doing. But we're kind of waiting for him to start working again so that we can collect some of our money back. But if you're hiring someone for these big jobs, and even if you've taken all the steps that I'm talking about in this video, people can still take your money. If money is exchanging hands, that's always a possibility. You can only do your best to try to find honest, hardworking people, right? We're all just trying our best. So anyway, all that to be said, always have a contract in place, because typically it will protect you, even if they have a home or a car or something that you can essentially place a lien on or even take if they're not going to provide your goods and services back to you. So make sure that you're basically CYAing and having a contract in place. The other thing that I wanted to mention about the contract is that you should make sure that the contract is very specific. So even the contractor who did our siding here for this building, who I am hiring to renovate this entire unit, he sent me the contract last night and it was very vague. It was like materials, $23,000, interior finishes, $5,000, like painting this amount, blah, 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 wall texturing this amount. But then it didn't like mention anything about scraping the ceilings or doing recessed lighting or cabinet installation or countertops or anything that wouldn't be included in those categories that I just mentioned. So I called him last night and I asked him to basically revise that. I had sent him a spreadsheet of every single thing that I wanted done for this unit. And I said, I want you to resend me the contract, please. But be more specific so that, I don't anticipate you taking advantage of us, but in case there's any issues moving forward, I want to make sure that we're both covered, right? So that I can't go to him and say, well, I wanted you to do this, this, and this. And then he says, well, that's not in the contract. Or same thing for me. He wants to charge me for something that I don't think that he's already done. So it's kind of protecting both of us. So he just sent that over to me this morning. And then I told him that I would like it revised. He wanted a little bit higher deposit up front. I'm comfortable with 50% deposit up front for materials, and then I'll just pay him the rest as the renovation goes on. The second to last thing that I wanted to mention is ask him kind of conflict resolution questions. So For example, I came over here one day when the siding was being worked on and I wasn't particularly happy with how a certain area looked. And so you can tell a lot about a person based on how they basically take criticism or take somebody asking them to change something or do something in a way that they deem acceptable, right? So I wasn't happy with how the siding looked. I wanted it to look a particular way. There were obvious gaps and with the price that I was paying, I wanted it to look better than it did. And so I really appreciated that the contractor was like, oh, okay, if you're not happy, you know what, that I missed that, that's on me, and I'm gonna have my guys fix it, and then I'll send you pictures, or you can come back out and we'll just keep working on it until you're happy. That's the right answer. I'm not a pain in the ass client. I'm just paying a hefty price tag and I expect good craftsmanship. I'm paying a good amount for materials. I'm not using the cheapest like Home Depot quality material. I want this to kind of be like a one and done project. I want to do this one time and then never basically have to touch these units again, minus obviously like fixing wear and tear. Okay, and then the final tip that I have is to make sure that whichever contractor you choose to hire has insurance. So this is very, very important. Again, let's say they or somebody that is working with them or for them gets injured on the job. You want their insurance to cover that and to basically clear you of any liability. Now, I do have an umbrella policy and I obviously have insurance on all the buildings that I own, but that doesn't necessarily mean that I want to be making claims on those policies or using those policies in any way when I really shouldn't have to be. I'm not necessarily responsible for that depending on what happens during the job here. So I had the contractor that I hired for this job send me a copy of his insurance, and I may be a little bit skeptical, but I do go on and I do double check on the websites, or I call the company and just confirm that the policy is legitimate and they haven't photoshopped whatever they're sending to me. So those are all of my tips for hiring a general contractor. Again, I'm so excited to walk you guys through this process with me. I showed you my previous video, the before of the unit that I'm currently locking up. So renovation should start in the next day or two now that I've signed a contract and paid the deposit. So I will keep you guys in the loop. I hope you're as excited as I am. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. I would love to hear those. And I hope you guys have a great day. All right, bye.